Hey, welcome back to the podcast, everyone. This is Abdul Rahman Khan, your host, of course. Welcome back to the ARC channel today. And I wanted to talk to you about something a little different than usual, which is our sports conversations that we have, which is obviously great. But at the same time, many of you know I am a pharmacist by trade. And so I wanted to talk to you about some of the things, that we do. Of course, I'm a pharmacist with Walgreens. I'm a pharmacy manager currently, just started about 3 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks tomorrow. And, there's definitely things that I think we get to see, but we maybe not necessarily talk about on a everyday basis, right? So previously, if you look at the beginning of my podcast, I did talk about communication, dialogue, and after starting this new position, I think there's certain things that I've thought about, I've learned that we need to talk about more, right? So something that's really important is leadership. So it's something that it seems to be appears to be more of a difficult characteristic to come by nowadays amongst fellow our fellow, whether it's our company employees or our fellow coworkers, and even within ourselves sometimes, right? It's a task, it's a challenge, it's an everyday a working characteristic that we need to be working on every day, right? Let's put it that way. So leadership is not just one thing that you develop in one day. It's not something that you develop and that's it, you're done. It's something that evolves over time, and you get to learn and you grow. And from the health, whether we're talking about sports, which of course we have been doing for a while, and but today I want to talk about how leadership in general is great, but from a healthcare perspective, right? So being in the pharmacy field, I've noticed that a big part of being a person in general, whether, like I said, in sports, in your home, in your community, we have to have more leadership. So one thing I wanted to focus on a little bit more today was if you're in the health field or in any sort of retail industry field where you're dealing with other company employees or especially patients / customers, why is leadership so important? So when we have customers, we really work for them. And we tend to forget that, right? When we have third-party, investors or shareholders, we're really working with them, but also for them, right? So how can we obtain certain characteristics where we're able to achieve the goals we need to, and we're able to inspire ourselves and others around us so we can perform better at work and be able to achieve the results that not only satisfy us, but those who we are, quote unquote, working with and for, right? So as I always say, to my coworkers at Walgreens, and I've always had this motto, even during pharmacy school, it's not the company Walgreens that I really work for. It's more so the customers I work for, right? Because truly, if you think about it, they are the ones who are the reason why we're in business. And so really, your boss, your employer, your manager is the customer, is the third-party shareholder or whoever the investor is. So for that to, truly, so to satisfy them, we need to have certain abilities, certain characteristics, and certain environments at our workplace that'll help us achieve and attain great results, right? So I was actually looking at this article that was written by Dr. Robert Baginski. He's a program director at the University of Northeastern, Doctor of Medical Sciences and Healthcare Leadership Program. And he talks about 5 healthcare leadership skills that also I'm sure can be applied to other work environments as well. One of them is, number 1, he highlights that leaders in the healthcare field mentor others. And I think that can be applied, again, anywhere. Within your home, you mentor your children. In your group of friends, you mentor your friends, some that are older, some that are younger. And at workplace, you mentor your coworkers, especially if you're more experienced, or you attain certain characteristics or abilities that maybe are not fully there for other individuals in your work environment. So mentorship is a relationship in which someone more experienced or knowledgeable helps to guide someone less experienced or knowledgeable. It is particularly important in the healthcare field. So why is that important, right? if you're able to, because mentoring is huge, right? It's not necessarily always you're mentoring people about tangible things. Sometimes it's the intangible, right? It's the mindset sometimes that we all need to approach our work from. How can you inspire others? So mentoring can help you inspire others. When you mentor someone, you could be teaching them about some work skills that are needed, but at the same time, you might run into someone once in a while who isn't as motivated as you or goal oriented as you to achieve the results that they need, right? So as an individual, as a person, that you might understand that situation and you understand what personality traits you need in that environment or in that situation to achieve better results, you should be able to pass those on forward. And how can you do that? Sometimes you really just need to sit down with your coworkers and build a relationship. And most times that's what it is. If you're able to build a relationship with your coworkers, with your investors or shareholders, they seem to feel a more of an emotion, with an emotional connection and an understanding through you, just because they know you better. They are more perceptive or receptive to you, right? They understand your point of view better. And at that moment, you've really earned the trust that you need to take the next step. And that's when you start to change the culture. You start to change the mindset of the individual or individuals you're working with. So mentoring is key, because sometimes for you to achieve results in your environment, in your culture of work, you first have to have everyone on the same page. And as a leader, if you see that there's something lacking, then it's time to talk about it. Right? It's time to build that relationship and then show them why it's important. Show them why a positive mindset at work, the approach you have, is important. And then give them examples. Sometimes have a one-on-one, right? Once you're able to show them why the intangibles that they have, maybe the lack of motivation at work, is impacting their work, which is very hard to do because it's not a tangible thing. Having motivation is an intangible. You can't really quantitatively prove it, right? You can prove it via more of giving examples, right? And if somebody's able to see them, that's great. And as a leader, you should be able to provide proof and be able to have people see what you're talking about. So that is why mentoring is key. Once you have that culture that you build, you can finally start to change the loose ends in your company, in your work environment, so you can finally start achieving results that you're looking forward to. Which also, quality number 2 that Dr. Baginski talks about is challenging the status quo. So what does that really mean, right? It doesn't necessarily always mean that you're going to be rising up and fighting the, company morals or company values. No, it's more so, it's the idea of being able to introduce a new idea on your own. And maybe the company's doing certain things a certain way, or the work environment you're in does certain things a certain way, but if you see that there's a better result that can be achieved through better approach, then, challenging does not mean you're going against the company, but introduce those ideas. Talk to the right leadership or the right person in your company so that you can introduce this new method so you're able to achieve more results, right? So it's always good not to just follow what's been set there for you from before, but as a leader, it's good to see, what can I really do that's different, maybe, that might be more effective in achieving the results I need? So that's part of being a leader, right? And then being able to use your communication skills, just as you do in mentoring others, to convey your point to your higher ups, right? To your leaders, so they can see your point of view with all due respect and may be able to implement what you've been seeing that'll be more effective within the company. And if it brings more results, guess what? Good for the company and good for you, right? It provides your reputation in the company will rise as well, right? And that's always good to see. Of course, no one's against that, right? And being able to be seen as a better leader is a great quality, a great characteristic. The next one, it kind of goes with our first one, which is mentoring, and that is to educate others, right? Educating others, education is more about the tangibles, the actual material or substance that relates to the work. So you're educating others about, sometimes, oftentimes, I would say, about what they can improve in terms of the actual work that they do, right? So that's very important. For example, in our pharmacy field, especially in the community pharmacy field, we oftentimes have a high turnover rate, right? We're losing and gaining pharmacy technicians left or right. Every time you lose someone that's experienced, you have to bring someone new in. And now you're training them all from scratch once again. And that is where oftentimes we fail, being very frank. And many of you who are watching this possibly, if you go to pick up a prescription from your local community pharmacy, you're probably seeing that there's a long line, a delay. Sometimes you have a communication with an individual that's there that is just not on the same page. They don't understand what you're saying and you don't understand what they're saying. A lot of it just has to do with the individual that you're dealing with because they're just not necessarily well trained in the field. So educating others means maybe they're aware of something that they already should be doing, but they're not doing it to the best of their ability or to the best that they can be performing that act, then help them improve and help them educate that, right? And if you can truly train and educate those around you, you're only going to have a better work environment, only have a better a team, and you'll be able to achieve more results, right? Not only that, your results are going to come at a rate you may not even expect, right? They might outdo your expectations. So, and that's what we're all looking for. But for that, you have to make that sacrifice, right? You have to mentor others. And that means character development. You have to do educate your coworkers, right? Educate yourself too. So not only just your coworker, but we can't be always just because you're experienced, you're aware of the majority of the rules and the bylaws of your company, you're aware of what you need to be doing, you're very well versed in your job. That does not mean you can't grow personally. You also need to be updated on all the things that are coming in the market today, in the work environment. A lot of the material, all of the newsletters that are being released by the company, be up to date. Be up to date on the new things that the management introduces. I guess you can say methods that the company might be trying to implement. You need to be up to date on that and very well versed, because if you are, then you can pass it forward with clarity and more and a better grasp for your coworkers as well, right? Again, leadership means keeping yourself up to date as well on much of the you can say the affairs that are going on around you. Again, important. Number 4, practice humility. So kind of ties into what we just said, educating yourself, right? Don't always think as a leader that you have to educate others, but you are and you should be open to learning from those above you and also those that you are a supervisor for, right? If you're supervising a group of people, remember, if you go into a new company, sometimes as the new manager or as the new director, slow it down, right? Observe the environment. And sometimes we all get caught up because we have a certain agenda, a certain mission, a certain goal that we have in our mind that we want to achieve with the new group of people that we've started, the new position that you've obtained. But sometimes you just gotta slow it down. Let's learn. Let's see how things are being already implemented in the new work environment that you're in. And if you see that they're not necessarily achieving those results that you're looking for, then slowly, introduce a new idea. Slowly start to guide others in a way where they're not necessarily felt accused or offended, but at the same time being able to be firm enough to introduce a new idea and clear enough. And if you can make that adjustment, that's very important. And if you see something that's already working, then don't even bother changing it. And do not just do it out of the sake of just because you're a leader you need to be changing everything. No. And that's very important. Humility, right? If you tie that in with the idea of educating others and mentoring others and practicing humility, you're going to have a work environment where you're going to see others learning, yourself you're learning, you're going to be growing as a company, you're going to be seeing more results. It's very important to have those characteristics all in place. And the last but not least thing that Dr. Baginski talks about, which is create opportunities for others. Just to follow up on that, just make sure that you're bringing your coworkers into a mindset where they're able to see how they can grow within the company. And if they see opportunities for themselves, they're more likely to work harder to obtain those opportunities. And when they're doing that, that means naturally they're going to perform better. They're going to perform higher for their own sake to become a better employee for the company, because to achieve those opportunities to be able to see themselves in a better environment, they're going to work harder. And that is very important. So, and for you to do that, you must be able to see all those opportunities and offer them to your coworkers / your management that's under you, or the group of people you're working with. So that being said, I hope I'm going to wrap up with this, and I hope this was a very helpful conversation for you. Again, what is leadership? Please share your definition of what you think is a leader and what characteristics they need to be having to be a successful leader. And in the meantime, if you have any other comments for me or any advice for me, please do leave that in the comments. Please do like, please do share, and do subscribe. Thank you for your time. Have a good one. See you next time. Bye-bye.